Warm welcome. So, we, the students of Indian Institute of Information Technology, Vadodara, International Campus, Diu, would like to give a presentation on the topic dielectric inside a capacitor. This is comprehensive presentation which will give all insights and prerequisites required before understanding the inferences and the conclusions which we can draw when dielectric is inserted in the capacitor. We will be also demonstrating how we can perform an online virtual experiment to get better foundation on our understanding. So we are the group of 5 undergraduate students. My name is Vartul Srivastav and my teammates are Tarun Mali, Janish Kumar Desai, Ishant Bison and Abhishek Kumar Tharu. So let's get started. So these are the basic topics which we will be covering in this presentation. First of all, we will be learning about capacitor, dielectrics, all the terminologies, basic terminologies required to understand the experiment. Then the theoretical understanding of how what happens when we insert dielectric inside the capacitor, what are the inferences which we can draw theoretically, and then we will do it practically as an experiment which will be undertaken on PHET online lab, and then we will come to the result and conclusion part of the whole experiment. So let me reframe myself. Yeah. So this is the wholesome work distribution. So what we did is, before initiating and fabricating this presentation, we categorically divided topic among ourselves and then executed it. So I will be explaining about the capacitor, the whole introduction I will be giving to, and how it emerged and what are the basic terminologies which we need to understand about it. Tarun will talk about the insertion of dielectrics, and he will be also demonstrating the experiment on PHET Colorado lab. Janish will take inferences from what Tarun did, from exactly experimental inferences what we can draw, and he will be also explaining about the history of capacitors, how it evolved and what it is in today. So this is a comprehensive study, and then we will come to the exploration part, the summary and exploration part of the experiment, which will be covered by Abhishek Kumar Tharu. He will be also explaining about the usage of capacitors and what are the references which we took to construct this presentation. Ishant will be giving the final conclusion and the result part of it with respect to the experiment. So let's move forward. Let me reframe myself. Yeah, better. So what is capacitor? As you can see from the pictorial diagram that it has two legs, means it is a two terminal device. In our localized language we also call it as condenser, because the very word capacitor gives us the very intuition that it stores something, capacity to store. So in technical terms, capacitor is the device that stores electrostatic energy. It is a two terminal device, it has two legs. So it basically stores electrical energy. It gives sudden burst of electrical energy. We use it in fans and various electrical equipments to give sudden burst of energy. So what we can do for the better understanding is, let me frame you a model. So what we do in the capacitor is that there are two parts to it. First is the conducting part and second is the non-conducting part. The conducting part consists of two plates. Here we will be taking for the simplicity for the explanation. Two plates are separated by some distance, and they have charge accumulated upon it. So this is the basic construction of the capacitor. And the non-conducting part, which we will be introducing in between the separation, as a dielectric, we will be discussing in the later part. So what is the fundamental principle on which capacitor works? It is the potential difference, and how potential difference is created in between both the plates, the rough frame which we constructed for the capacitor. So here it is, the very first Maxwell equation, which is the Gauss law for electrostatics in the differential form, divergence of electric field. And what we can deduce from that very expression, from the first equation, is the relationship between the electric field and the potential difference. So what I said was that in between both the plates, charge is accumulated on each of them, and due to the charge accumulation, the polarity of the charges will induce an electric field in between them. And this expression, negative of integral of E dot dl, this gives us the relationship between the potential applied and the electric field. So in between both the plates there is potential difference, and this is the basic principle on which every capacitor stores electrostatic charge. And let me move forward for better understanding. Let me reframe myself. So we had two conducting plates, both were having some charge. So on performing experiment, we noticed that when we increase the potential difference in between the plates, in between both the plates, conducting plates, the charge accumulated on both of them remains same, as well as the when we increase the potential linearly, there is linear increase in the charge accumulated on the surfaces of both the plates. So we drew a conclusion that the charge accumulated on the plate is directly proportional to the potential difference in both the plates. And when we substitute the proportionality, we get Q equal to CV. C here is the constant of proportionality, which is also the capacitance which we discussed. Capacitance is the ability to store charge. So this is the capacitance. Here we should not get confused that capacitance depends upon charge accumulated and potential difference. So we will be discussing it further, that what defines capacitance, its mathematical overlay, we will be looking at it. So what is the unit in which we cover capacitance? It is farad. Farad is practically a very big unit, so we don't use it in our practical purposes. We don't take it, and we use sub terms of it like picofarads, microfarads, and means the term farad is very big in itself. So for all the practical purposes, we use microfarad and picofarads. So let me move forward. So here comes the main part. So what we seen in the previous slide is that Q equal to CV. We might get an intuition that C is dependent on Q, that is the charge accumulated, and the V potential difference, but it is not. We had a rough frame of what capacitor looks like, and here is a parallel plate capacitor which has two plates kept at some distance D. Both the plates are having effective area A, and effective area A I will be explaining later. So these are the two plates, they have some distance D in between them, and the charge are of opposite polarities. So what we do is, first we connect this with the DC source, and then when charge accumulates, there is an electric field induced in between both the plates, potential is created, and the charge can self-sustain itself when we remove the DC source. So that is the whole principle how capacitor works. Now what is the effective area? Now we might even take a smaller parallel plate on this side and a bigger plate on this side. Now what does the effective area means? That the overlapping area we will be considering while taking the area of the capacitor. So the expression for the capacitance goes like this: A epsilon naught by D. The capacitance is directly proportional to the area of the plate. So if we increase the area of the effective area of the capacitor, the charge accumulation will increase. Epsilon, the epsilon is the permittivity, and here epsilon can be epsilon naught as well, and relative permittivity. It depends on what we are introducing in between the space. If it is empty and we are considering a vacuum, then it will be epsilon naught, and if we introduce some dielectric and some other stuff, then it will be a relative permittivity, or K epsilon naught, and we will be getting much more better view when we get to the dielectric part. And capacitance is inversely proportional to the distance in between both the plates. Okay, so C is epsilon A epsilon naught by D. So capacitance by its very definition means that it can store electrostatic charge, but it does not depend on the charge accumulated and the voltage applied upon it. They are the external inferences, external things which we are giving to it. The capacitance depends only upon the physical caricatures of the capacitor. It confines to that. Now whenever we construct a capacitor, we cannot alter its capacitance by altering the voltage and by changing the charge accumulation. It is all set. So what we can do is, for a particular network, if we want to change the capacitance of it, what we do is we arrange a network of capacitors, and then we construct the instruments which we require. So let's get forward. Yeah, so we will be discussing here two ways in which we connect the capacitors to form the networks. The first is the series way, series network. So what we do is we connect the capacitors line by line, and the one plate of the capacitor connects with the another plate, and subsequently we do this. So this is called a series capacitor network. So what the thing is that on each capacitor the charge is same, the charge accumulation is same. The difference is the voltage difference in each of the capacitor is different. So this is the major takeaway. And when we calculate the net capacitance implies that if we have n number of capacitors lying in the series network, then we can consider it as a single capacitor of capacitance C net, means the total capacitance, the equivalent capacitance of the network, and we can make it look as a single capacitor. So when we compute the capacitance here, it will be 1 by C n net equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 and on as 1 by Cn. So let's move forward to the parallel capacitor network. Let me reframe myself a little bit. So in parallel capacitor network, what we do is we take each capacitor and arrange that in a particular branch connecting to the source. So here in the pictorial diagram we can see that each capacitor is connected to the same line, the line of source. So the voltage, the potential difference across each capacitor will remain same, and here what will be changed is the charge accumulated on each of them. So there is the difference which we noticed in series and parallel capacitor network is that in series the charge accumulated on the capacitor is same throughout the network of the series, and the potential difference across is different, while in parallel it is just opposite. The charge accumulated is different on each capacitor in the network, and the voltage across the each capacitor is same. So this is a major takeaway, and when we take it as a single capacitor, we calculate the equivalent capacitance as C net equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3 and on as the number of capacitors plus that are Cn. So this is the network, how we construct the capacitor, by which we can make different equipments and different electrical devices, and we can alter the capacitance accordingly, because fundamentally we cannot change the capacitance of a single capacitor, but what we can do is we can take multiple capacitors, make a network out of it, and can give a path to the particular capacitance that we are desired to find out. So that's the beauty of it. So I'll end my part here, and my colleague will continue. Thank you.
Now we have come to the topic of insertion of dielectric. So we are going to see what will happen when we insert a dielectric into a capacitor, and the capacitor is connected to a battery. So here we have the situation. Capacitor is connected to a battery, and then we insert a dielectric to it, so that finally the dielectric is fully inserted inside the capacitor. Now what will happen, how the force will act, that we will derive in the next video. Here is our capacitor. Now suppose at some instant t, a dielectric is inserted inside the capacitor till length x. Now the remaining length of this air capacitor can be written as L minus x. Now we can treat this capacitor to be made up of two capacitors. Let me shade these two for you. This one and this one. This one is of the capacitor whose dielectric is air, and this capacitor is whose dielectric is a substance which is not air. So its dielectric constant can be written as epsilon naught times k. Now the resultant capacitance can be written as C1 plus C2, as these two capacitors are connected parallelly. Now C1, which is the capacitance of the air capacitor, can be written as A epsilon naught upon D. C2, which is the capacitance of the capacitor made up of dielectric, can be written as X B epsilon naught K upon D. So the C resultant will be epsilon naught B L minus X plus Kx upon D. Now, as the force is generated due to electric field which is conservative, we can write the force as F is equal to minus du by dx, as the force will be a conservative force, as it is generated due to a field which is conservative. Now the U, which is the potential energy of the capacitor, the combination of capacitors, can be written as half CV square. Now we already calculated the value of C, so U can be written as half epsilon naught B V square over D multiplied by L minus X plus Kx. Now the force, which is the differentiative of potential energy with respect to x, can be written as epsilon naught B square K minus 1 over 2D. Now this is the force which will act. Now some interesting things about the force is that this force will be a constant force because it is not dependent on any x or any time varying thing. So this will be a constant force. Also, as this force will be positive, as k will be greater than 1, this force will act in this direction, as the elemental x is taken in this direction only, direction of x dx. So this will be also the direction in which the force will act. So when a dielectric is brought near a capacitor, it is pushed inside the capacitor with a force which is given as this. We have derived the following facts in the last video, the last derivation video. When a dielectric is brought near a charged capacitor, before even entering inside the capacitor, it experiences a force which pulls it inside the capacitor, and from there it experiences a constant force inside the capacitor. The force is constant. This is the main point. Now this is the exact formula of the force, where the symbols have their usual meaning. You can have a look at it. Now we have I have talked about how the capacitor start pulling the dielectric even before it entered the inside the capacitor. So why it is happening? It is due to effect called the fringing effect. We will see what happened exactly in fringing effect in next slide. So in fringing effect, this is the definition. So I will read it. If you have two parallel plates forming the capacitor, the electric field does not abruptly end at the plate. So okay, we can see the first image, the electric field abruptly end at the end of the plate. As long as a dielectric is far from the capacitor, nothing happens. So this is the dielectric part. So in actual, there is some field outside the plate that curves from one to the other. So in actual, you can see the electric fields comes out a little from the desired plate area, means it comes out a little. So when we move the dielectric towards the capacitor, it starts experience a force even before it entered the capacitor. So this is the reason of the fringing effect.
First experiment, seeing the variation of capacitance with effective area and distance between plates. And special case when dielectric is fully instructed. Observation, in this observation table, we make voltage constant and also distance constant. We varying area and we getting variance in capacitance, charge and energy. We will show the graphs of variation with respect to area. First, capacitance versus area. We can take on insight from graph that variation in between the area and capacitance is linear. Second graph is charge versus area. We can take an insight from the graph that variation in between area and charge is linear. Third one is energy versus area. We can take an insight from the graph that variation in between area and energy is linear. Second experiment, seeing the variation of charge and electrical field of capacitor with charge in dielectric constant of slab. In this observation table, we have many material with different dielectric constant, and then we have distance and area are constant, and we are getting capacitance, charge, and energy with variance. Here is a graph of capacitance versus dielectric constant K. We can take an insight from the graph that variation in between capacitance and dielectric K is linear. This graph is a charge versus capacitance. We can take insight from the graph that variation in between capacitance and charge is a linear. Third graph is the charge versus dielectric K. We can take insight from the graph that variation in between the dielectric K and charge is a linear. And this is a graph of the energy versus the dielectric K. This is also linear. Third experiment, seeing the variation of capacitors parameter while charging the offset depth of dielectric slab introduced. In this observation table, we have dielectric offset in millimeter, 1 to 5 millimeter. Distance is constant, area is constant, and we get capacitance, charge, and energy uh, in variance. This is a graph of offset versus capacitance. This graph is a linearly varying. This is a graph of offset versus charge. This was the also linearly decreasing. This graph of offset versus energy. This graph was also decreasing. And then what other will explain by my friends.
So this is our default setup at present when no dielectric is inserted inside a capacitor. At this configuration, the value of the capacitance is 0.89 into 10 to the power minus 13 farad. Now, as we increase the voltage from this battery, the charge appears on the capacitor, which follows the equation Q is equal to CV as shown here. Now, when we reverse the polarity, the charge will just show in the opposite direction. We can also see the electric field is becoming stronger as we are increasing the voltage, because Q by C gives the voltage, and when you divide by D on both sides, it will give you electric field. So increasing the voltage will in turn increase the Q, which will produce a more strong electric field. This effect is shown by the density of electric field increases when we increase the voltage. So here you can see the density is less, and when we increase the voltage, the density become more and more and more. So that's our first result. Now let's start moving this capacitor, this dielectric inside the capacitor. But before we start moving, we should first change the value of dielectric constant to a value which is greater than 1, because at a value 1 it will behave just like air, and at present also air is present. So if we move this dielectric into the capacitor, nothing will happen because it is just like acting like air. But suppose we increase the dielectric constant to some value, or even we can choose the specific material if we want to choose from here, Teflon, paper or glass. Now when we move the dielectric inside the capacitor, you can see the capacitance changes. Now what's the relationship between the capacitance and the distance x up to which the dielectric is inserted? We have seen earlier in theory that capacitance is given as this: epsilon b by d k minus 1 into x plus L. So you can see capacitance will increase when x will increase. There is a linear relation between capacitance and x, which is the distance up to which it is inserted. Now let's also turn the voltage up so we can have some charge. Now as we have seen, when we insert the dielectric into the capacitor, the capacitance will increase, which will in turn increase the charge by the equation Q is equal to CV, and which will also increase the capacitance also, and it will also increase the potential energy, because potential energy is given by the fourth equation U is equal to 1 CV square. As capacitance increase, the potential energy will increase. Now let's do one more thing. Suppose we change the dielectric constant from 0 and we increase it. Now as we can see from our theory that capacitance is equal to A epsilon K by D, where K is dielectric constant. So capacitance varies linearly with the dielectric constant. So if we increase the dielectric constant from 1 to 5, the value of capacitance will increase linearly. Similarly, charge, which is given as CV, so charge will also increase. Now stored energy, which is half UCV square, then that will also increase.
As we have seen the result and conclusion, We have seen the relationship between the charges and voltage of our capacitor. We have also seen the energy stored in a capacitor or set of a capacitor in a circuit. We have explored the effect of space and dielectric materials inserted between the conductor of a capacitor in a circuit. We have calculated the equivalent capacitance of a set of capacitor in a series and in parallel circuit. Application of capacitor: they are most commonly used in energy storage, pulsating power, power conditioning, power factor correction, and suppression of coupling, as you can see in the figure. Uses of capacitor, as we have know that it is used in pulsating. So basically how it is done: when the high voltage is applied in a parallel circuit, the capacitor is charged. On the other hand, it is discharged when with the lower voltage. When when the electricity flows out is alternate current. Most of the electronic circuit work with dielectric current. Uses in daily life: most commonly used in daily life of a capacitor. Energy stored in additional uses. It includes power conditioning, single power coupling, decoupling, electronic noises filtering, remote sensing. Because of because of its varied application, capacitors are used in wide range of industry and have become more vital part of our everyday life. As the common components that uses capacitor, we can see in household are a range of electronic systems like smartphones, smartwatch, household electronic appliance, electric vehicle, medical devices, and few others. Thanks. That's
Okay, so myself Ishant. Hello everyone. So this is our waves and electrodynamic lab work that we performed an experiment. So first of all, we would like to express our thanks and gratitude to our IIITV ICT members and professor, especially to Professor Alu Alia sir for arranging this experiment workshop for us. And we also thankful to our TMM, Ms. Shipra Bhatt ma'am, for guiding and teaching us very soft and also as well as hard skills. We are really fortunate that we have a mentor and supervisor like you who help us in every step. While performing the experiment of dielectric inside the capacitor, we got a chance to meet some famous personalities as well as we can say eminent personalities. We thanks them and also appreciate them. Also, in this tough time, we have to manage everything online. You made everything so easy for us by guiding us to work together and also working together as a team. In this session, we all got a chance to develop a good team spirit. While doing the experiment, we work hard. We had to go with a great research and draw a lot of knowledge for ourselves. At least but not last, gratitude goes to all my friends who indirectly helped us, especially to our CR and all. Any omission in brief acknowledgement does not mean lack of gratitude. Thank you. So I'm going to describe some of my slides here. Some slides are already described and explained by our team members. So here I am going with some our slides that I took as to describing. So first is dielectric polarization. So as we all know that when an electric field applied to a capacitor, the dielectric material get polarized. This is because the negative charge orient toward the positive charge and the positive charge orient toward the negative charge. So here we get the polarization effect by a formula P is equals to E naught K minus 1 time of electric field. So here E naught is a basically electric permeability of a medium. K is a dielectric constant that we inserted in the capacitor, and E is already known as electric field. So basically this is all about the dielectric polarization. Coming to the atomic view of dielectric, so as we can see here in a pictorial way that how an atomic view of an dielectric can show. So in a classical approach of dielectric, the material is made up of atom. We all know that this thing. Each atom consists of a cloud of negative charge bound and surround a positive charge as its center. So in the presence of electric field, the charges glow distorted. The very good example that we took for the atomic way of dielectric is something like water. Here we can see the polarization as well as this type of effect and phenomena is also visible in this. So coming to the next slide, how frequency affect the polarization and dielectric loss. So here we get a graph that how the frequencies change and how polarization made effect on a frequencies. Sorry, how frequency made effect on a polarization. So this is all about the graph which we got, and we all know that the dielectric constant always decreases as we increase the frequencies. So this is basically about the frequencies that affect the polarization. So we also go to the different kind of forces that we notice on inserting a dielectric material inside the capacitor. We also do the simulation work on this thing. We done the simulation work both when the battery is connected as well as it disconnected in both way. So the experiment setup that we required some devices to perform the experiment. First one is capacitor, some basic needs like capacitor, voltmeter, battery, dielectric materials to measure charge, to measure some charges that are stored in a capacitor, to measure the store energy, that all of the apparatus, or we can say devices that we required. So experiment are performed by every member of our group, and every observations and datas are attached there. So least count, here the least count of the devices like voltmeter have a 0.011001 volt, capacitor is 10 to the power minus 15 farad, plate 10 to the power minus 14 coulomb, and store energy that has a least count of 10 to the power minus 15 joule. So here from here, this is the observation table that I went from, and this is all about the graph and all that kind of thing that is already explained by our team members. So coming to the summary and conclusion. So conclusion is something like that we notice a very good difference when we insert some dielectric material inside the capacitor. The electric field is also get changed by some constant, and the force is also exerted between the plates. All the data that we get from this simulation of when inserting dielectric between the two parallel plate capacitors are attached there. And in conclusion, we can say all the things that we get is already attached in PPTs. And in short, we get a very fair idea about how the working of a capacitor when a dielectric field is inserted in this. So thank you very much. This is all about the insertion of dielectric field inside a capacitor. And again, myself is Shant, and thank you very much to giving a beautiful chance to go through a very deep study about this insertion of dielectric field. And thank you.